How's it going, guys? My name's Evan. Some people call me ESP, and welcome to ESP Poker. We're here at Horseshoe Baltimore, hoping to get into the new Epic 1-3 game, which is a match the stack 1-3 game. If not, just gonna stick to regular 1-3. Also, some big news, I'm going to Vegas. I'll be there July 19th to the 23rd. Make sure you check out my Twitter and Instagram. I'm gonna try to post updates on where I am and where I'm playing when I'm in Vegas. And with that being said, let's get into the poker.
We get seated at a new Epic 1-3 game, and let's just quickly go over how the game works. So it's a max buy-in of 600. After the first hour, you can match the biggest stack at the table. For some reason, no one was matching the biggest stack, but something to note next time. You can straddle for up to $30. Half the table was consistently straddling, so this game often played 1-3-6 and 1-3-10. And lastly, when you're heads up all in, you have the option to run it once or twice. Right from the start, this table is hot. There's a lot of action going on. It only takes us about 20 minutes to pick up Ace-King offsuit. Also, huge shout out to DGen Poker for the new card images. Go check out his Instagram, I'll link it in the bio. These are exactly what I was looking for. I'm in middle position and make it 15 to go and only get a call from the small blind. We see a flop heads up in position that comes Ace-King-8 with 2 diamonds. He checks it to me, and although he could have a flush draw, I decide to slow play my hand and check it back. The turn doesn't change anything, it comes to 3 of spades. This time he leads out for $25. Now it's time to pump some money into this pot. I raise it to 75, and he does think about it for a sec, but eventually elects to make the call. Looking for a clean river card, but we get more than that as it comes another king, giving us the effective nuts. I'm thinking of what to bet, but before I can even do that, he just leads out for 105. It's a really weird line because I raise the turn, and he only has another 130 behind after this bet by him. I Hollywood for a bit, act like I'm not sure what to do, but eventually decide to put it all in. He thinks for a sec, he hems and haws, but does eventually make the call. I show my hand, and we're good. He mucks his cards, and we drag a big pot, getting us off to a great start. With about 900 in my stack, I'm in the big blind, there's a $10 button straddle, and I look down at pocket kings. The small blind folds, and I raise it to 40. We end up getting one call from under the gun +1, and everyone else folds. We see a flop heads up out of position that comes Ace-Jack-6 with 2 hearts. I think it's okay to keep betting, but in the moment, I decided to check, and he decides to bet 100 here. It's a big bet in relation to the pot, and it's a difficult spot because he could just have a flush draw here. I was pretty confused, but elected to just make the fold. Let me know what you guys would have done. I'm on the button with 7-8 suited. There's a raise to 15 from middle position. The cutoff calls, I call, and the small blind calls as well. We see a flop 4 ways in position that comes Ace-9-7 with 2 clubs and 1 spade. It checks all the way to me, so I think it's possible no one has an ace here. I decide to bet 30, looking to take it down now, but if we do get called, we do have some backdoor equity. The small blind and middle position fold, but we do get a call from the cutoff. The turn comes to 3 of clubs. He checks it, and I decide to check it back. The river comes the 10 of clubs, putting 4 clubs on the board. This time he decides to lead for $75. It's a weird spot because he could be bluffing, but the problem is if he turned a hand like a pair of 9s into a bluff, we don't even beat that. For that reason, I like to just make the fold. Here in middle position, we have Ace-Queen offsuit. I make it 15, and we end up getting called by the small blind and the big blind. We see a flop 3 ways that comes Jack high with 2 clubs. Both the blinds check, and I decide to check it back. The turn comes at 3, the small blind bets 15, the big blind folds, and now it's on me. In the moment, I elected to make the call, but this is one of those spots I really need to work on. I either need to continue the aggression by betting on the flop, or when someone bets on the turn after I checked, I need to just let go of my hand. It doesn't make much sense continuing here with ace high, we're most certainly behind. The river comes a 3rd club, he bets 20, and it just feels like he's going for value, so I decide to make the fold. With around 800 in my stack, I'm under the gun +1 and look down at pocket kings. There's a $10 button straddle, the big blind calls the straddle, under the gun calls the straddle as well, and I decide to raise it to 50. We end up getting called by the player to my left and under the gun. We see a flop 3 ways that comes jack high with 2 clubs. Under the gun checks. I elect to bet 75 here. The player to my left calls, and the under the gun player folds. The turn comes the 5 of spades. I decide to keep betting. I make it 125. I think I need to go bigger here because if he has a flush draw, I'm giving him a good price to call. He eventually makes the call, and the river almost makes me throw up. It comes the ace of clubs. Not only does the flush draw come in, but now we don't have an overpair to the board. I decide to check it to him, and he thinks for a sec before betting $300. I go deep into the tank because this is a really good player. Everyone's been wrong against him so far. Someone called him on the river and he had it. Someone folded to him on the river and he didn't have it. I'm just gonna let you listen in to what I was thinking in the moment.
Oh goodness, I suck. Dude, that river is just disgusting. I mean, like, God, I just know you don't have it, but like any other river. Fuck me.
I end up folding my hand face up, hoping that he shows his hand, and after a little bit of persuasion, he ends up showing pocket queens. It was a great bluff by him, but I knew he was capable of bluffing, so sometimes I really just need to close my eyes and make the call. Oh well, on to the next one. Here I'm under the gun and pick up king 9 of clubs. Slightly on tilt, I make it 15 to go, and we end up getting 3 calls. See a flop 4 ways that comes 10 deuce deuce with 1 club. Checks to me, I check, and the player to my left checks as well. The turn's an interesting card. It's the 10 of clubs, giving us a flush draw, but it is a double paired board. It checks to me for the second time. With a flush draw here, I decide to just take a stab at it. I bet 20, and interestingly enough, all 3 players decide to fold. The player to my right said he folded ace high, so kind of worked out for me there, and we drag a small pot. Here I'm in the big blind with ace queen offsuit. There's a middle position raised to 15. The small blind 3 bets it to 45, and when it's on me, I elected to just make the call. I think a 4-bet here could be a good move, because then we have a chance to take down the dead money without seeing the flop. Anyways, middle position makes the call, and the initial raiser who made it 15 makes the call as well. We see a flop 4 ways that comes ace 6-5 rainbow. The small blind leads out for $100 here. Now some alarm bells are going off. He could have ace king, but at the same time, there's a lot of combinations of ace jack suited, ace 10 suited, and you could even have ace queen as well. For that reason, I make the call. And then middle position does something unexpected. He decides to raise it to $400. The other player folds and it's back on the small blind. He thinks about it for a while, but eventually elects to make the fold. And here's where I made a huge mistake. What middle position did by raising into 3 people is a very strong move. On this board, there's just not many draws he could have, and although I have a good hand, I'm most likely beat. If I just call his raise, I'll only have about $75 behind, so in the moment, I elected to go all in, and he made the call. I asked if he wanted to run it once or twice. He said once and ends up showing pocket 5s for bottom set. I'm basically drawing dead and the turn and river are no help, so we're gonna lose the rest of our stack. After the hand, the small blind said he folded ace 10 suited, so although we played the hand fine up until middle positions raise, we really need to be more disciplined and make the fold there. At this point, I was just very disappointed with how I played this hand, so instead of rebuying, I decided the best move was to leave.
So we were in for 600, out for 0 for a loss of 600, bringing our 32 episode total to a profit of 1334. You know, not fun booking my second biggest loss ever, and I wasn't too upset about my decision with the kings there. I was more upset with how I played after that, and that's something I definitely need to work on. As mentioned, I am going to Vegas July 19th, so excited to make some vlogs from there. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.